Cool.
And we're getting right into it now. I'm crow hopping into those so they can roll it.
Let's do it.
With a damn okay.
Damn. Okay.
Damn.
There we go.
I'm okay.
Timing was
Damn. I'm okay. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, I'm okay. Illegal gambleizing. Oh, baby. I am Chris Simms. I'm okay. Damn. Okay.
Extended version once again. Playoff version. This is the AFC Wild Card edition.
Booyah.
All caps as laid out here by Pete. Out of respect. Remember in Goodfellas, one thing happened. He's like, you want to know why? It was out of respect.
Yeah.
Out of respect for Cleveland not having been to the playoffs since 2002.
Yes.
Let's start there. They knock off the Steelers 24-22, and they are in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. Great for Cleveland. Wasn't easy yesterday, as you know. I mean, I think the big thing with that, you know, I had a lot of friends text me like, oh, man, I mean, if we could barely win against Pittsburgh, because I got a few Browns friends or people from Cleveland, if we could barely beat Pittsburgh when they don't have Big Ben and some of those guys out, how are we going to beat them next week? Listen, you know, it's not just, you know, apples to apples necessarily. You know, hey, Pittsburgh did get to go out and just play free and not, you know, loose, have no pressure. There is something to that. There's no doubt about it. I always say in these type of games, really, you know, the desperation factor doesn't come into play until the game really gets put in the balance late in the game, and then that team that's in the must-win situation can usually dig a little deeper in those situations to pull out the football game. Mm-hmm. But if that team that's got no pressure and it's all going good and it's all going uphill and smooth, they can feed off that energy and be dangerous. But either way, it was a very impressive win for the Browns. The pressure was on them, definitely. They had a lot of obstacles to overcome once again during the week. They got a lot of players that were missing in that game yesterday. It doesn't make me think differently about the matchup coming up this week in the wild card game. They can still win that football game. But I think between Nick Chubb, what you saw there, you know, sure, the defense was not at its best. But I think the other thing, too, is just Baker. You know, Baker, at a few of the throws and scrambles he made in the football game were big time. It's not always about consistency. Sometimes it's just about who's going to make the big play in the big moment. And I thought Baker really did that for the most part of the day with some scrambles and some other off-schedule throws where I went, that's why you picked that guy number one. Way to go, Cleveland.
And it wasn't just a one-off thing that's happened yesterday, the last couple of weeks. It's been the last few weeks, going all the way back into, I think, mid-November.
Yes.
Best thing you saw from him yesterday?
I think it is the scrambling, the backyard aspect of his football game.
He's found a way to kind of maintain that while they're still doing a lot of very strategic play-action setup.
No doubt.
There,
You're right, but I think it's all about the comfort that we've talked about with him just feeling comfortable within the offense, what the coach is asking with that certain play call, and now he's back to playing football again. So, okay, wait, Stefanski didn't call the right play? All right, no big deal. I can make a play happen to help the team out in this situation, keep us on the field on a third down or extended drive or do anything like that. I think that's what really that jumped out to me. You know, and a few of the scrambles were in big moments of the football game where they needed a little juice, a little jump start there. So that was cool to see, definitely. But I do think, again, Cleveland was missing some secondary people. It'll be a fun matchup this week coming in the game. I don't think it's 24-9. Yeah. They had him in 4th and 11, and they threw a jump ball to Chase Claypool for a touchdown.
Right.
If he doesn't catch that ball, and let's say Denzel Ward's there next week covering him because he wasn't there yesterday, you know, I don't know what happens. And that game could have looked a lot differently. I give Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin credit, but good for Cleveland. Amazing.
I don't want to get too much away from what we're doing here on this Monday. Yeah. Looking back at the biggest storylines from yesterday. And I know you're going to get into deep dives on Wednesday with the playoff previews, but just kicking the tires a little bit. One question about the game coming up this weekend in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
Let's say one of your Cleveland friends say, hey, give me the biggest reason to believe it's going to be different than it was when it was 38-7.
Right, sure.
What's your response?
My response is that was still a Cleveland team that was they were still finding themselves, in the process of finding and figuring out who they were. They were still a little stuck in the, whoa, we got Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield, and we want to spread and throw the ball because you can't match up with us. And they're not that way anymore.
Right.
Now they're like, hey, you, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to run bootlegs. And then if we got to, okay, we'll drop back and pass or put Baker in the shotgun, and he'll make some plays off of that too. But I think that's the big difference. After that Pittsburgh game, became a team that basically said, oh, you're loading the box to stop the run? Doesn't matter. We're still going to run it, and we're going to dominate you in the run game that way. And I just think they've been a better team ever since that matchup the first time around.
As long as we're talking AFC North, nice job of mentioning run game a couple times. Let's get on to the Ravens.
Right.
They beat the Bengals, who looked like they didn't want to be there, 38-3. How about 404 rushing yards? We could do this for 10 more years, and I might not get to say that again.
It's like an easy 400. That's what's scary. Like an easy. Like where I'm watching the film back, and I'm sitting there because I watch some of these run plays just to go like, what did they exactly do to gash the Cincinnati Bengals like this? To where, they rip off so many 10 and 15 and 20-yard runs that the drive gets over, and you go, oh, that was a pretty good drive, and then you go, man, I wonder what they rush for in that drive. And you go back and you tally it up, and you're like, holy crap, okay, it was 6 rushes for 80 yards in that drive. It didn't seem like it, but it was. Like, it's just unbelievable. Those 3 guys right there, it is an amazing combination. J.K. Dobbins got a little power and game-breaking speed like we saw. Gus Edwards got a little game-breaking speed, but a lot of power. And then you got Lamar Jackson, who's got the quickest feet you'll ever see, and is faster than both of them in the straightaway field. And, Paul, it got in, 2 things I saw. First off, Lamar threw the ball pretty well. I think that's worth noting. Secondly, I saw some marrying of some of the run plays with play action, which I've been calling for a little bit from the Baltimore Ravens. But at the end of the day, the bread and butter for Baltimore right now that nobody seems to have an answer for the last few weeks is whether it's the double pulling backside offensive lineman concept. And what they're doing off of that is consistently gashing people right now. I mean, I think there was only really one big run in the game, and that might have been J.K. Dobbins' 72-yard run. That wasn't a pulling guard. It was kind of an inside zone type of play. But all the other 10, 15, 20-yard runs were block down, big guy coming around, another big guy coming around, and then there's either Lamar or the tailback following them.
Right.
And what they always do, and we've talked about this, is they have a great changeup in, okay, if you overplay that, then somebody will keep it out the back door. And they usually gash you with that and have the right feel of when teams are overplaying.
Is anybody else in the league doing that in the run game?
They are. It's definitely becoming more and more of a thing. I've seen Taysom Hill and the Saints do it. The Eagles certainly had done it with Jalen Hurts the last few weeks. I'm probably missing a few other teams that are doing that. But
they're not the only ones.
They are not the only ones, but they are the best at it. And that, for the most part, is just what absolutely gashed Cincinnati.
Things have changed. I don't want to say in a hurry because it's over the course of 4 or 5 weeks, but things have changed for Baltimore. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost 4 out of 5. Now they have 5 wins in a row. Lamar's running a lot more than he was. He's throwing it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Let's compare how you feel about this Ravens team on a 5-game win streak compared to the one last year that went to the postseason on a 12-game win streak.
Yeah, I think – last year, listen, they were the undisputed heavyweight champs of the NFL, where they went into the playoffs, and you just went, I just can't imagine anybody but Kansas City really giving them issues. But we still had the questions of, man, it was easy for them last year. They really had no meaningful games in the month of December.
Exactly.
They sat out week 17 and then had the bye week and then played the playoff game and got punched in the mouth. And we're like, oh, no, it's a playoff game. And of course, coming off the year before where they lost the playoff game to the Chargers, I think the encouraging thing for them right now is it's been playoff mode for 5 weeks in a row. It's been, so whether you want to talk about, whoa, Lamar Jackson's never won a playoff game. Yeah, okay, I get it. But these have been de facto playoff games here down the stretch. If they lost, they weren't going to get in. Or they had very little wiggle room. So they've had to approach it that way. And I think that will lessen the storyline of Lamar Jackson not winning a playoff game going into this game this week. And I wouldn't want to mess with them. Right. They're healthy on defense. They've gotten back totally 100% healthy. The O-line has got its game going on. They are dominating. The running backs, like we just talked about, they're unbelievable. And Lamar and the passing game, it's still not special or anything good. But like I've said for a number of weeks, they're trying to a little bit more of a concerted effort to tie the run game with the pass game. I think they're trying to be a little more aggressive with throwing the ball down the field to a Miles Boykin or a Hollywood Brown. And I think that's encouraging. And Lamar just has a great feel, too, of, okay, drop back. All right, I'll sit here in the pocket and wait for somebody to come open. But he knows when to abandon ship. Okay, abandon ship. Nobody's open. Let me get the hell out of here and make a run. and he's on fire right now.
It kind of feels like the Ravens offense and Lamar this year, they are right now more comfortable in their own skin than they have been the entire year.
Right.
More comfortable with what makes them really, really good. And they were there all of last year, but it just feels like he's running in a more free way. And the passing game, which just like Seattle's defense, doesn't need to be an A in Baltimore.
Right.
If it's a C+ with how well they're running it and how well the offensive line is playing, then they're a real problem this
It's good enough. Exactly right. That's really it is. Because it always comes down to a good offense and, everything you're talking about defending the whole field. And that was probably the one aspect that was missing. Down the field throwing, whether that's down the middle, deep outs, things like that. But we're seeing more of that. And really, could have been more yesterday. He threw a nice post route to Hollywood Brown, who dropped it at one point down the field. He should have bigger stats. But I don't care about the stats as far as the numbers, the amount of completions, it's all that. To me, a little bit that gets, lost is the effectiveness of the pass game. And Baltimore's pass game is effective enough, and it makes enough plays to where, you can't disregard it. You got to respect it because it will change field position, or somebody will go down the middle of the field for a touchdown, and you'll be like, well, there goes 6 because we overplayed the run. You
said in 2 words what I tried to sum up in a few seconds, effective enough.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they need right now with how well they're running the ball. I do want to give a little more credit or point out to Lamar passing the ball, or that passing game working better than it was a few weeks ago. Let's take a look here. We've got a look at Lamar to Miles Boykin, 43-yard touchdown. Describe what we're seeing here.
Well, it's basically a double post concept. You got us on the right side, and let's rewind it and don't start it if you can. Just pause it at the start. At the right side there, he's just got a single cut with Hollywood Brown. So if he had like man-to-man coverage, he could just throw that out there and play one-to-one. But this play is specifically for this coverage. It's quarters coverage here. So they're hoping that the inside slot receiver is going to take, the safety away, and then now that outside corner is going to be one-on-one with Miles Boykin. The other thing that's important here, check out, again, Paul, they got 42 Richard on the right there in the slot. He's going to come in motion, and they're going to fake it to make it look like their little inside zone cutback play, which I like. So go ahead and play that, Pete, if you can. So there you go. Fake the inside zone. He looks down the middle of the field, which I believe was Mark Andrews. He gets the safety and everybody to follow him a little bit, just enough to where he can then go, I got Miles Boykin deep one-on-one against this corner here. And Von Bell by that time is 2 out of position and chasing. And this is really not Von Bell's fault. It's the perfect play versus the perfect coverage, and a defense that's trying to play 2 deep safeties, but cover 4 is also a little bit of a, hey, it's too deep, but we're going to let our safeties come downhill and be aggressive to stop the run too, and they just got caught.
Ravens win big 38-3. They'll take on the Titans. We'll talk more about the Titans here in a little bit. That game coming up Sunday. It's the early game in Nashville.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.